Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is the 19th of August. I did look in the bottom corner for my date, 19th of August, year 2026. The reason why I give the date every time that we meet is sometimes we talk about current affairs. So y'all kind of, whoever is listening to all of this can kind of get the context of what we are talking about. With that, let me welcome our panel today. We have Lakshmi, who's kind of matched her background to her shirt today. Lakshmi, Lakshmi is part of our core group of meditators. She also leads our workshops on mantra chanting, and also has her own meditation group that she leads on mantra chanting on Tuesdays, as well as has a monthly talk and Q&A on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested, please contact Lakshmi. And then we have Patricia here, who's part of a co-group of meditators. Good evening, Patricia. Good evening, Lakshmi.
Good evening.
And Sri Lakshmi has joined us online. By the way, today is strange. I don't have a prepared question. Let me see if out of my list of questions, there's some question that we may not have discussed. So I'll ask this question, maybe I have not asked this question before. So Lakshmi, this person asked, how does one deal with loss? Not finite loss, but loss that is continuously, like there is a loss of a relationship. This person had a loving relationship with her sister, but now her sister is estranged. So she was asking Eckhart, how does one deal with loss? And don't ask me what Eckhart responded, because I don't remember what he responded, but let's talk about loss.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to ask you what Eckhart said, but so whether it is uh, any kind of loss, whether it is losing a person to death, or a person just suddenly stops talking to you, and then the person is not in your life anymore, or you're leaving the place that you know and you're moving to a brand new place, all of this is nothing but death of what you know. And now there is a deep sense of grief that is associated with any loss. There is a lot of grief. So I feel that, when we come to this earth, we are in mother's womb for 9 months. We are so connected with mother, and once we come out, we are craving for that the same bond that we had for 9 months. So the the pain of abandonment starts very early on in our life, and then every time we go through different negative experiences, whether it is I watch this all the time, being in a school system. Kids in kindergarten come and say, my friend doesn't want to talk to me anymore. He says, I'm not your friend anymore. And there is grief when this kid is expressing that his friend doesn't want to be his friend anymore. So we are constantly going through um, circumstances, life situations, where that pain of abandonment just suddenly pokes you, or it leaves you uh, with so much grief that you don't even know how to handle. So I myself have gone through a lot of loss, whether it is uh, expecting something from a person and then the person doesn't meet up to my expectations, um, or losing some people, it is loss comes in so many different forms, and then changing. I become so accustomed to one area, because I left India and then I came here to um, Rochester, New York, and then I made few friends, and I was becoming a little comfortable with Rochester, New York, and my husband found a job in Baltimore, Maryland, and we moved there. And within a year, he said, I made some more friends in Baltimore, becoming comfortable. And then we had to move again to Chicago. Again, the same story, became so comfortable, bought a house, and suddenly, after 3 or 4 years, he said, we have to now move to Leesburg, Virginia. And so we kept moving and moving until when the final move, or I mean, I'm hoping this is the final move, that is because it's been 24 years in California. um, it was, the grief was just so much. I was just unbearable sadness that even though I had this beautiful daughter and a beautiful home and all of that, it was the suicidal thoughts of not having enough. I didn't like this life anymore. And then I even went and visited a um, psychologist or psychiatrist, and they put me on Prozac. And then after a month or two, I realized this Prozac isn't doing anything. All I need to do is to just accept the situation as it is. And in those days, there was no Eckhart in my life, no spiritual books or anything, but just acceptance actually dropped that pain so much. Of course, I quit taking Prozac right away. And so, one thing that this person needs to do is, he really cannot help right now, but to accept the situation as it is. And every time a situation comes where you are dealing with the pain of abandonment, the lesson is not that somebody is abandoning you, you are abandoning yourself. So you need to give that self love, you need to give that self compassion that you didn't even know how to give all these years. You have spent several decades of your life. No church, no temple, no elder in your ancestry taught you how to love yourself. And how do you love yourself? By constantly becoming aware of your thought pattern. It is not going to some spa or getting some massage and all of that. That is not the definition of self love, but constantly becoming more and more aware of your thought patterns, whether those patterns are burdensome thoughts of the past or thoughts filled with anxiety about future. So the more you become aware, okay, there again, I am going to my past, again, I'm going into my future, you're already rooted in the present moment. So the more and more rooted you become in the present moment, you, even though your sister or your brother, whoever that loved one that you are estranged from, sometimes people are estranged from their children, whoever that person is in your life, all you want to do is just send love to them wherever they are, unconditional love, with no expectation that they should return that love back to you. And you just wish them well. And then, in that emptiness that you felt all these years, that your loved one is estranged from you, you fill that with your own love and with your own compassion, and something drastically drifts. So that has been my experience, and I am deeply, deeply grateful for all the spiritual lessons and the teachers and everything that came into my path, even the difficult people and difficult life situations, which even though at that time the pain of abandonment was terrible to deal with, now I am grateful that I'm able to give that self-love and compassion to myself. Thank you, Poonam.
Eternally grateful for the wisdom, Lakshmi. Thank you so, so much. It's beautiful. Even I was thinking about the same thing is if you have an estranged relative, it could be a estranged anybody, cousin, cousin, sister. This happens to be a sister. There's a reason why you're estranged, right? Like that bond of like I feel, one, as a society, and because I always talk about limiting beliefs, I feel we have a limiting belief that if it is our close relative, right, like mother, father, sister, brother, grandparents, that we cannot lose contact with them. Right? So I don't know how much of this person's suffering from being estranged from the sister has to do with that limiting belief that, oh, I have a sister, and the society thinks that just because I have a sister, I should have a good relationship with the sister. Right? And then the suffering is out of that expectation. There's an expectation, and the external world is not meeting that expectation, saying, I need to not be estranged from the sister. And again, back to, we've talked a lot about soul contracts, and we talked a lot about how that lesson, the reason why that lesson is being presented to us is at some point in time, we would have done that to, in a past lifetime, we would have acted in the same behavior with somebody else.
True.
Right? And so in this lifetime, this sister is now my greatest spiritual teacher in teaching me that loss, that pain of not being close to a sister. Right? Maybe I was a brother or a sister in a past lifetime where I told my brother or sister or mother or father, some relative of mine, I said, no, I'm not going to speak to you, or cut my relationship off from that person, because ego has different ways of presenting itself, right? The ego can even judge their mother and say, oh, I'm not going to keep in touch with you, and not keep in touch with the mother. And here, this person is teaching them that. So what you said is perfect, which is, yeah, you don't see them in person in 3D, right? You don't physically see the person, but you can always go into your inner stillness and generate that love towards like sit in meditation for a few hours, then bring up a picture of this person and send them love. I think Byron Katie talks about put them on a stage and make them sit and shower them with rose petals, shower them with flowers. So kind of like you are not disconnected. Yeah, physically you may be disconnected from this person, but out of your inner being, you're not disconnected from this person. You're connected. Right? In that way, you're constantly keeping up the connection. And I feel in that stage, when we are that connected, something will change. Right? Something will change where suddenly the sister will call you, or the sister will say something, or something of that nature will happen.
That will happen only when you have completely released every residue of expectation. Only then that possibility can actually happen.
Correct. And then I'm thinking, like, my personal experiences, when you're generating that much love, that means you're so full of love, so full of wholeness, so full of completeness, that you're not feeling the pain of you're not coming from lack, that
anymore.
I need to have a relationship with the sister.
Yeah.
The other thing is like she talked about loss, like loss of let's say it's a loss of a pet or loss of a loved one. I feel the same applies to a loss of a loved one, because in my case, you know, what I feel is it's not only the estranged sister, it also maybe I'll give my case as well. It may be that it was a relative, close relative. In my case, it was my mother. My mother passed away. She was in India, right? And then my brother called me that she passed away. And I did have a, like when she was in coma, I did see her like on Skype. At that time, there was no Zoom, there was just Skype. So I saw her on Skype. But once she passed away, my thing was, she already passed away. By the time I made flight arrangements, and by the time I arrived, I'm not going to see her anyway, because the next day they went to
cremation.
Actually, the same day they cremated the body, right? It's not going. So again, the same applies with the human form leaving this earthly plane, right? One is this, what I feel is this perfection of understanding that there are certain exit points. Like, you know, a lot of human beings think that, oh, why did this person pass away? They should have lived a few more years.
Correct.
Right?
I hear that all the time.
Right? But like we want, our ego wants that physical form for ourselves, right? We don't want to lose that physical form. So, oh, why did this person? But if we look at the soul contracts, the way Carolyn Myss explains it, she says there are exit points, right? There are certain exit points. Some people have an exit point at 20 years of age, exit point at 30 years of age. Like my dad passed away when he was 47, very young, and very much in health. He got into a military truck, hit him while he was driving on a Vespa on the interstate or on the state highway in India, right? So you may say, oh, why did this person pass away? And young children, right? We are like 17, 18 years old, young children. Why did this person pass away? But we have to realize that that soul has made the decision to exit this plane.
Correct.
Right? And understand the perfection in that as well.
The
flawless perfection in that okay, in this lifetime, this person was suffering, the suffering of being in this physical form. Once they exit, if you listen to any near-death experiences, you'll realize that everybody has returned to infinite love.
Correct.
Right? So why are you taking away, like you're saying, oh, my mom should not pass, like I probably say, my mom shouldn't have passed away, she'd have waited until I got there, or whatever our minds say, right? The ego may say, our thinking mind has a way of saying a lot of things, right?
So I have a question. So you said that everybody returns to infinite love. So what about the people who have been committing only crimes throughout their life? They've never been kind to a single soul all their lifetime, who have been only mean and unkind towards everybody. Do you think they also return to infinite intelligence? Do they also feel that? Or
so Dolores Cannon, like in one of her books, Convoluted Universe, she talks about that Hitler, I mean, your comparison would be Hitler would be one person. Right? Let's say Hitler. We can use this example. She said like they're different. Like this is one realm where the soul is learning a lesson, right? But there are different realms out there that we learn lessons to.
Okay.
One of them, she said, one of them is like a hospital for healing the soul, and he's actually in that hospital of healing that soul, right?
Okay.
There's no punishment. There is no punishment, or there's nothing called the punishment is what we make, like people say hell and heaven. That's all in our mind.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
There's no hell or heaven. It's like, and again, back to I am not died that I have these experiences. I do know from what Sadhguru writes in his book, Death and Karma, and the near-death experiences. Like if you collate all those stories and experiences, you'll realize that when the human spirit is exiting the body is when the hell happens. Like we are living the whole experience of our whole lifetime, and then we are making our own choice. That soul is itself making its own choice of saying, okay, in my next lifetime, now that I didn't learn how to forgive, or I didn't learn how to experience gratitude, in the next lifetime I'm going to like select whatever stories that the person is going to experience, right? So we select our next lifetime. The soul is itself in its evolution is selecting what they want in the next lifetime. And it could always not be this realm, right? There are different realms that we could learn. We could learn the same lessons. But Earth School is like one of the it's like a big heart to come up on Earth School. So with that, let me go to Patricia. I hope it helps people with like this conversation. Like I have my heartfelt desire that people have a little bit of peace from, like for me, the peace that passes all understanding from my mother passing away was she was suffering a lot. Like her body, like she was 76 or 77 years old, and her body, like she was bedridden. She had broken one, she had two knee surgeries, then she had some back problems, all kinds of blood pressure. I don't know, she had a long list of health problems. My thing is the moment the spirit left the body was the one that was suffering, right? All that suffering, she's alleviated of all that suffering. So that was my peace that passes all understanding, that she was not suffering. I mean, I would, every time I would talk to her, like to me, just sitting and listening to her for an hour about all her ailments, it was like a lot of suffering in a physical form.
True. So, yeah.
With that, I'll go to Patricia. Patricia, did you want to comment about this? It's kind of a little bit of a serious topic. Hopefully we are handling it with reverence and sacredness. Thank you.
Thank you. That's amazing. You two covered it from so many angles. What came up for me is surrender. What came up for me is ego identification. So when we experience loss, it's the ego that wants it back how it was, because we were so identified as the role that we played or who we were with that person, that now if that part is taken away, now we feel a void. So that's a great opportunity for spiritual growth. But so in a sense, it's almost a gift, and that situation can be taken. But yes, on the human level, like ego will be shaken because we want more stuff. We want to embellish. So sometimes the relationship is what makes us feel more whole and complete, because we feel that without it, we might not be there. So for me personally, I do have very similar experience, and it's continuing with my brother. And I remember still the stories that I really wanted a brother. So I actually remember wanting so much and asking God to please send a brother. For I'm probably many reasons, but the one I can think of is that I needed help with both of my parents were very um they were micromanaging, they were neurotic, they were like everything. I just needed a break, like have another kid to do that too, because I cannot be alone with dealing with all of this. So, and interestingly enough, everybody like wanted sisters. I'm a girl, so I would want a sister. I always wanted a brother, for some reason, brother. Then when my mom got pregnant, it came to naming him. I told my parents, if you don't name him Piotr, I will not love him. So they had no choice but to give him the name. So I chose his name. Like I adored him. I took care of him, changed diapers. It was this little mommy. I was 9 years difference. We were always together. I honestly loved him so much to pieces. We played together. And then obviously when he was a little older, he was annoying me. So it was a little, stuff. But he was like, I was really taking care of him so much, even taking him to school, walking him back, and all this stuff, doing homework with him. And then his first separation from me was when he was a teenager and had his first girlfriend. And it was a Valentine's Day, and he saved some money, pocket money, and he went to the flower market very early in the morning and got her this amazing bouquet of roses. And like he had this gesture, I guess it was his first love. I didn't even mean, I felt so betrayed because I was the woman in his life that he loves, was everything, sister this, sister do, sister blah blah blah, do homework, help me with, like, play soccer with me. And all of a sudden he kind of rebelled. He was throwing me under the bus in front of our parents. He was telling, oh, she's smoking cigarette, like, or stuff like that. I wanted to, honestly, there were so many times that I just wanted to kill him. Like, so from emotions of loving him so much and begging for his arrival to this world, to feeling like that I want to just strangle him and beat him up and just like, and then I left Poland and I felt in a safe that my parents have him, that to take care of them, right? To be there for them, that I finally was free. So he gave me that freedom. And so I don't have to feel guilty that I need to get away as far as possible from my dad. So there was a lot of things going on. But since then, he holds a grudge that I left. So even if I go there, he just doesn't want to really spend time with me, talk to me. He is just completely, even now, I spent some time when I was in Poland in April, with his daughters, with my nieces. Wonderful, they love me. And the first thing out of the older one, 6 years old girl, was, do you know that my dad hates you? Like, so he even expresses that. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, with all the presence that I practice and meditations, I was observing what I felt in that moment and what I answered this little girl. And I said, I love you, Daddy. He's my brother. And and they did completely change the subject because whatever. And then we spent some time together, but him, honestly, I couldn't get through. He was just like, "Oh, let's just keep it at, I don't want anything from you." And just like, that's fine. So there is, from observation of him, I know that he has a lot of, sorry to say, psychological issues, because he spent so much time with my brother, with my father. I have some kind of sense of perseverance, and I wanted to get out of my father's energy. But he just, till this day, he is so verbally abused by my dad, because my dad has a lot of, also, he's bipolar, he's narcissistic, all this stuff. So, but my Peter is still there. So I have right now such compassion. So I don't feel the loss. Like Lakshmi said, I just feel love towards him, that he is doing the best he can. He came to this world because I wished for him. I begged him to come. But he's still living on that, in 3 dimension, on that level of ego. And I see that from like a higher little, the eighth chakra vision, right? Of, this is a soul's contract. He was meant to do this. So I could leave. So, but then, just for me to feel that love. And so I don't feel loss. I used to crave for us to fix the relationship, but now I understand that his path is different, his journey is different. And I did have hopes, wished maybe that we can go to the direction of maybe rekindling the relationship, brother, sister. But it seems that if he's not ready, or maybe it's not meant to happen in this lifetime. But I have him in my heart, the same as I have in my dad. So the same with I remember when my aunt, very dear aunt, passed. It was like 4 years ago. And when it happened, I called you and also Lakshmi. And I remember watching that video of Rupert Spira, that he was explaining to one of the questioners that lost her dad, how to deal with that loss. And he exactly said the same thing we're saying. The physical form, was done with, and it was dead, but you hold that being in your heart. So the love that you felt when you had a physical contact with that person, now it's unlimited, because you don't have to only feel it when you see that person or when the person is with you. You can feel that love always, because there's no then physical limits to the body or to the love. And then you just spread it more, you feel it more, and it's omnipresent. So that's how I felt, and that's what helped me get through loss of my aunt, because I felt that she's with me and I can love her and think of her anytime I want. So I don't have to just wait to every Saturday to go on Skype and for half an hour to see her, you know. So stuff like this really helps. But first step that helped me is just surrender. And that's what probably maybe Eckhart answered to actually feel, because that's what in the present moment is, and don't attach any story. Oh, poor me, victimhood and stuff. Oh, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna cry. I'm sad. No, it's like the sort of present. That person is not here. So whatever you're feeling, stay with it, and then it's just move on, because you feeling the beingness, and you understanding that that's was meant to be, to bring you a lesson. And just don't identify yourself with, again, with all the feelings of sadness, of loss. Just observe them, and they gonna just, it's gonna become just an event, a memory. But you realize that you are one with everything, and also with that person that's no longer here or with you or left. You are connected because you are one consciousness. So just experiencing from your perspective, but don't identify yourself with anything. Just be free from it. And I think that's what helps us go through it. So again, observation of what identifications, what entanglement we have towards that person, that it's no longer there. And then visualize just cutting it off, wishing them love well, if they're, if they're past or they left, just exactly wishing them love and feeling that love and being grateful for all the time you did spend with them. And just know that in a sense, nothing changed, because you are still here, you still have a full life, and open yourself to connections, to everything. Because once you realize that you are connected to everything, one with everything, then there's no loss, because it cannot be. But that's like the little higher level of, so the gratitude, I think, will take you there. Being grateful, like I divorced my husband, got divorced, and it was his decision. I wanted to cling to it, so I understood that it was the best thing that could happen to us at this time. And I started to be grateful that he actually made the decision. And as painful as it was for me, it was best. He also made the decision to never, ever, ever see me or speak to me again. And I thought it was cruel in the beginning, because we have daughter together. But now when I'm looking back, it was best, because instead of prolonging all that, emotional everything, just like bad and negative emotions, he just cut it off. And he almost did that presence, like, okay, I'm gone, deal with it. And it's like, oh, what am I gonna do now? Like, I'm alone. Like, I've never been alone before. What am I like? So he was such an incredible spiritual teacher too. So right now, all I'm feeling most of the time, there's every once in a while something that happens that kind of triggers the old feelings, but then I can very quickly get rid of it. I feel extreme gratitude to him for everything. So that's once we surrender, feel the oneness, then it's only gratitude. So the label of that being lost, it stopped becoming a trigger for all the negative emotions. It just becomes a spiritual lesson.
Beautiful, Patricia. Eternally grateful for all the insights. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for listening, and I'm very. It was wonderful for Lakshmi to also share, and for you, because I think that's what connects us to that we are all humans that experience losses in our lives, and we learn so much from it and understood. So I think it's part of the human experience to experience love, experience anger, experience sadness, experience that what emotions come out of that loss, so-called event when we lose someone dear to us.
Right. And it's just like, you know, another aspect, and before I go into the other aspect, is Jonathan is online and he said hello to all of us. So hello,
Hello,
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Good to have you online with us. Good to see you, Francesca. Good evening. Good to see you. So the other aspect of it is how Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that our energy is leaking into all these different things. Oh, my this relative this, and my this aunt this, who's not talking to me, or this father who's not talking to me, or this mother who's not talking to me. And he goes, you know, the fact that they were out of your relationship, or I had the divorce, right? Somebody says exactly like this person said this, right? That they're experiencing loss over loss, right? Finite loss over loss. What Dr. Joe Dispenza says is, look how much energy you're getting back to yourself, right? If your energy was leaking into, oh, my pet that passed away, or something else, like I lost this certain let's say they had a good bit of china, and they China broke. I don't know what kind of, they didn't list out what the finite losses were. The more you lost all of those things, your energy is coming back. You know, now it's not flowing into the china, or oh, I lost my wallet, or I lost my whatever you may have lost.
So that's acceptance of it. My just a quick saying, this is something interesting, because my daughter's boyfriend was here for the weekend, last weekend, and at the last day he comes to me and he's like, I am so sorry, but I broke your mug. So normally I would like feel like, oh my God, you know, that's my favorite mug, like, oh, you know, but I was like, okay. And he said, I really want to fix it, you know, I was like, don't bother. And I loved that I actually didn't feel all that loss of, you know, that it's a thing. It's not even, but before I was just, if you lose, oh my God, like, oh, I didn't know, I was crying.
It's
Right now it's just like, okay, it's mug. It's a
it
mug.
shows our attachment, right? So Eckhart says non-attachment, non-judgment, and non-resistance are 3 ways of enlightened living, right? So beautiful. Thank you so much, Patricia.
Thank you.
I wanted to, since Francesca is here, we have 11 more minutes, Francesca. The question was, how does one deal with loss, not finite loss, but loss that is continuously there, like a loss of a relationship? And this person seemed to have a sister and is now estranged from the sister. So they were asking, how do I reestablish that relationship with the sister? Lakshmi talked about surrender. I think we've talked about acceptance of what is, sending love to the person that we are estranged with. So what would you advise this person? And it's a question in one of the School of Awakening, or one of those Q&As that Eckhart was asked, and I don't remember his response. So if you want to speak to it.
From the little pieces that I just heard, it sounds like you guys covered all the base in relation to surrender and acceptance of what is. and so for myself, having experienced the same, there was a point in my journey when I realized that I needed to disconnect from my family, my sisters actually, because the relationship dynamics wasn't serving me, and it was triggering my old pain body imprints. And instead of, and even though at times, yeah, there were spiritual wisdom that emerged as a result of that, it became a lot of entanglements that I personally recognized that in order for those, for me to do what I needed to do for myself, to disentangle, really focused on my own inner work in relation to, okay, I'm aware this pain body came up, this one, sit with all of those different pain bodies in presence and work through the whole process one by one by one. And yeah, it was a lot. But the end result of that, what I ended up learning about myself, again, the spiritual insight is, I got to see, for example, the areas in where I didn't have boundaries. In the process, I learned how to establish boundaries, not the way we're told, but like that spiritual how. In that regards, I learned, I got to see all the areas where my energy was leaking that I didn't notice before, in this regards. And the work was so profound, what came out of it, and so deep that I was eventually able to, on my own time, when I felt I was ready and that I had become the space, and this is thanks to Eckhart because we were doing his Teacher of Presence program at the same time, I had become that grounded depth of presence and being that I was able to show up from that state of consciousness. Then I started reestablishing slowly that relationship with, for example, one of my sister that, whatever reason, this pain body was being ruffled, and the reestablishing of that relationship has been absolutely profound, to the point sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to jinx it, because she is actually, as a result of how I show up, embracing little pieces of her own inner work and receiving insight, and like our relationship dynamics went from like, hair and entanglement and pain body, to like hair. And it's like, whoa, I don't know what's happening. I'm not going to analyze it. I'm not going to, allow the mind to do what the mind does. And I'm just going to flow. And I actually recently ended up stepping in to help her with some things, with a few things that she's asking me to do. She's asking me to talk to her kids. And I'm like, okay, universe, I don't know, but like, just to share examples of how that relationship dynamics change once I was able to step back, and work with those triggers that was arising for me, transforming them, and most importantly, becoming fully present and more immersed in being than doing. And here's the other magic here that I found happening is once I began to step away from doing and more into being, it's almost like everything else just dissolves, like everything else that was like on the everything, it just had this powerful way of dissolving everything. Because at the end, I kind of laugh. There were times I laughed about it because I'm like, oh my God, nothing is really important now, is it? All this doing, and there's like so much wisdom. I mean, I don't have the time to share as much, but essentially, non-attachment, which is what Buddhism, teaches, right, is the ability, to let go, because we can engage and have beautiful, profound relationships with every speck of life from that depth of presence. And there is no attachment in presence, right? There is no attachment because attachment essentially is a form, right? It's a frequency of form, like thought form, feeling, whatever that form, right? It's attached to form. And in presence, there is no form. And that changes everything, like the entire dynamics of relationships. Like, my God, my relationship with my nervous system, my eating, everything is just like all impacted. It has this beautiful ripple effect as a result of that. So essentially, my sister became, you know, that little family. I call it, because it's collective. It runs like not just, you know, it runs. I've noticed in a lot of every family, but also specifically in relation to my family, that collective imprint, you know, kind of broke up as a result of yeah, surrendering and recognizing that they're showing up, you know, from their own states of consciousness in relation to where they're at, which unfortunately, you know, is that pain body program and such, and acceptance. I think Patricia mentioned acceptance, and that is okay, because I remember years ago on my journey, I was coming up with conflict within myself because judgment was arising whenever, you know, in relation to my sisters, I was judging them. And I remember I reached out to my Zen, one of my Zen teachers, and I said, okay, I've looked at everything. I thought maybe I have a blind spot, you know, and he's like, well, you know, Francesca, the practice of Buddhism is, you know, you cannot expect some other people to be where you're at. They're not even doing the same journey. I was like, oh my God. You know, that makes totally like in the way, but he said it better than I'm repeating it. And it totally was just like, oh my God, my silly little monkey ego mind somewhere along the way started, you know, creating expectations. And I was emanating that without realizing it. So every time I went to that judgment, it was based on the expectation that, oh my God, that person isn't doing this, she's not doing that, blah, 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 blah. And then it erupts into judgment. And then the judgment itself, the fact that my mind did that was torturing me because I didn't like it. I was aware that it was wrong, you know, but yeah, I was so caught in that loop, and the ego mind will do that, right? So yeah, acceptance, and you know, from that acceptance, empathy emerges, right? And I love the little part that I heard Patricia say when I came in just on time. It's perfect. It's beautiful. She mentioned that the triggers, you know, are, you know, starts to eventually, after a while on the path, results in spiritual insight rather than pain body reaction or you know, ego mind program running. Like, wow, I love that. I'm going to try and write it down after, because I love the way she expressed that. I was like, oh my God, this is like perfect, you know, like well said. So thank you, Patricia. You wrapped it up beautifully like that, you know. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents or my insight on triggers, I guess, because essentially that's what happens, right? When we have, you know, when we experience loss, you know, even the disconnection, like with my sister, I had to move through a process of grief, right? It felt like an loss because I was habitually accustomed to, you know, picking up the phone and calling her, even though we had this, you know, and vice versa. I always answered the phone when she called, no matter what, even with the awareness that, oh my God, she's going to talk for like 5 hours and it's going to be in circle, repeating the same thing. And I'm going to have to listen to her pain body, you know, victim, blah, 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 blah. So even though with all of that, I would still pick up the phone. So during my recognition that, you know, and my separation, I actually stopped picking up the phone. I stopped answering. I cut off all form of communication, and I just went deep into my practice. And thankfully, it was happening at the same time with Teacher of Presence, so that worked out. Yeah, I hope that answers the question, or yeah, provided insight.
Eternally grateful, Francesca. Thank you so much for the insight. I think during this conversation, we touched also on the non-attachment part and the surrender part. So you kind of like recap, like you were the icing on the cake. You recapped it exactly, and the fact that you have shown everyone the way, right? Like if you change, the external will change. So the more you change, Patricia, something will happen and your brother will somehow reconcile. I don't know what's going to happen, but he's going to see the change. It just means that your change, yeah, you have transformed to an incredible degree, but that transformation needs to get to another level,
Oh,
right? When you get to the other, go ahead, Francesca.
Yeah, I was afraid that you say that like Francesca, when you were talking about an incredible journey going through different stages with your sister, and I also remember a while back we were talking about similar things, and oh my goodness, Ken, I think Ken was talking about when he was still joining us, he was talking about his brother, how for a longest time they didn't spoke and nothing, and he slowly started, and all of a sudden their relationship rekindled. So that was my hope, but what I felt that even though I wanted that, and I hope that I changed enough in a sense for both of us that he could see it, but even though he didn't, I was okay with that. So I kind of dropped the expectation and just I was experiencing the moment as it is. Like, okay, had an intention for going back. I had not, no, but then he didn't. He wasn't ready. Maybe it's not the time. I just gotta again let go of expectations, accept the beingness of it, and just move on and just love him anyway.
Right.
I was
So
about to mention, so sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead,
I might forget, so I just want to quickly, because it came up twice now. One of the things I was going to mention, like right there at that point, Patricia, with my sister, when, you know, in terms of re-engagement, one of the greatest lessons I learned is when I engage with her, I have to be fully present, like grounded, you know, with awareness of in my inner body. And also if a topic starts to come up, so even before it even takes root, something arises, I'm like, okay, I'm aware of the dynamics, the entanglement, and what that topic is all about. So right away I would say, I'm so sorry. I really don't want to talk about that today. Or, you know, or even now it's at the point where I could say, okay, I'm what you're sharing, the way in which you're sharing it with me, I'm finding that it's triggering me. And it's something I'm willing to self-examine and so, but just so you know, can we like not talk about that? You know, it'll give me time to self-examine because this trigger is arising and we can just talk about something else. Or there are times when I'm like, you know what, I just don't want to talk about that. Can we, you know, talk about it another day? And so I've been finding different ways to tell her the truth, you know, and now it started little bits like that. And then it eventually became where I could say, I can repeat to her what she's saying. And I said, just so you know, this is kind of what I'm hearing. Is this what you, in relation to what you're sharing? So I share how I'm hearing it, how it's affecting me in that regard, just briefly, nothing long, very brief. And then I ask for clarity. I'm like, is that really what you're saying? Because that's the way it's coming across. And when it comes across that way, I'm finding it triggering. And then she has the opportunity to go, you know, oh, no, or that's not the way I mean it. And so because of that, there is more, you know, softening and engagement, and we're learning how to communicate in a way, which is strange because it's like kids again. We're learning how to meet each other where we're at and learning how to communicate like from scratch almost in many ways by, you know, doing that. And yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to share. I don't know if it helps, but
Perfect.
Yes, it is.
The one thing I would say, Patricia, this is the spiritual lesson I got at my 10-day retreat in June. remember I was saying that there was a person, there were people that were on their phones when Dr. Joe was lecturing, and the thought arose in my mind, why are these people on the phone? Like, it seemed like, to me, we are paying thousands of dollars, right? I soak in like every moment of what he's saying. Like, I want to be totally into the moment and absorb everything that is going on with Dr. Joe,
Out of
right?
even huge appreciation, right? And
Exactly, out of gratitude, out of appreciation. And then I want to capitalize on the fact that I took 2 weeks of my life, my really busy life, and I'm really disconnected. Let me take advantage of every moment of that disconnection and capitalize it to the highest level, right? Kind of thing. So what happened was, one of the person that I was judging, suddenly they were sitting next to me and they said something very rude in one of the during the lecture. Something happened, they said something rude back to me, right? So I realized that rudeness was not because of that person was unconscious. The rudeness was showing me my judgment,
Mm,
Wow.
right?
That is
Because
so
I had
powerful.
I had a separation. I was not, there was no, I mean, there was not, I mean, there was love. I mean, I used to hug this person, like when they were in the line, we would wait in the line for an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? So when they were in the line, I would, like, the moment I saw them, we did a lot of hugging, right? We were hugging everybody in the line. That's how much love you're feeling, right? There's a lot of hugging around there. So I would hug this person. So there was a lot of love there, but there was a separation the moment I had judged them.
mm,
Mhm.
And even though it was a fraction of this thing, so with your brother, you have to realize that even a judgment, that maybe the way he behaves, you judge it.
yep.
The way he acts, you judge it.
Yes.
So the moment you remove all that judgment, he will change.
Mm,
The amount, so when Lakshmi was saying, generate that amount of love for that person, right? Whoever's estranged or whoever this thing, we have, like, what I feel is, from a previous state to this state, there has to be such a transformation in ourselves that this changes.
mm.
Right? We entangled, you know about the entanglement. We are entangled. These two are entangled. They're entangled by the pain body, right? I'm sure Francesca, when she changed, she dropped all judgment about her sister,
Yes.
right? The moment she
And
dropped
change
all
into
judgment,
understanding. Yeah.
yeah, she had compassion for the sister, that her sister is just going to be as unconscious as she's going to be. And she does, and the fact that Francesca no longer wanted to change her sister.
Yes. That was huge. Thank you for
Right.
mentioning that. I forgot about that
Right?
piece.
Right?
Yeah.
She had,
Yeah.
what I can see from her story is, no longer is the desire that this sister should change. I accept you exactly how unconscious you are. I accept you. And that is the lesson I learned, how unconscious people are and I mean, even at a Dr. Joe retreat, however unconscious they are, it is okay. Accept them and have love for everyone, like that infinite, when we do our coherence healings, the amount of love that we have during our coherence healings, have that kind of love for the world. And that's what we need to generate, is just love. And that love also connects us to all the spirits that have passed away, all the human forms that have passed away. That level of love also connects us to them. And like you say, my brother is estranged. By the way, I had a remote viewing experience 2 or 3 weeks back. I was like, I haven't talked to my brother in a few months. I wonder if I can have this remote viewing is something that Dr. Joe teaches as well. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have a remote viewing experience. Can I go travel all the way to India and see it? And I had done like 2 or 3 hours of meditation. It just happened. Something happened. We had some group meditation, another thing. I ended up doing 3 hours of meditation that Wednesday night. And remember that I had canceled like on the 29th of July. It was that night. And I went to bed. And in my dream, I see my brother in a different, what's called flat, right? In India, they call it flat, an apartment. So he was showing me like this huge apartment with lots of ornate furniture and his kitchen with like cabinets and everything. And so I WhatsApped my brother. I said, hey, I saw you, this dream. It was weird that I saw you in a different apartment and like with the furniture that's ornate and like everything is, you're in a bigger room or something. It's changed. And he says, he responds back to me and says, he goes, you have the power of manifestation. We are going through renovation in our house. Like they're redoing their kitchen, they're redoing their bedrooms, they're redoing this thing. So just imagine if you want to be that connected to your brother, just have that intention. Can I go travel where he is and see him? Can I do remote viewing? Can I go be with him, right? And see what's going on with him, and it'll happen. You'll see it as a dream, or you'll see it as like some sign, like some feather will drop, or something that he likes will drop. You'll
But
see
you are
some.
right. I still like intellectually, and there are moments that I just experience pure love, but I do still judge him because of like I have those thoughts like, why is he allowing our father to treat him this way? Or then why does he treat my mother that way? Because my mother just told me that he was so absolutely disrespectful toward her. He said so many very hurtful words towards her and towards actually our grandmother, which was my mother's mother, who she's already on the other side, but for years and years. But he was so cruel, and that was not even his words, there was my father's words that he was just repeating, which made it so much more cruel for my mom to hear. And then she shared it with me, so I was telling her to have a compassion towards him, to don't take it really personally, this and that. I said, love him, but set your boundaries. He cannot speak to you like that, but don't, try to shut your heart from him because he is really suffering. But then that worked on my mind. Like, how dare he, It's like I wanted as a sister to just like punish him. How
And drop
dare he?
that.
Yeah.
And drop all that
Yeah.
judgment and teach your mother to drop all judgment for him. He is like, think like he has like some kind of mental disease, like a mental cancer of his mind, where he can only be angry and be harsh and violent with his mouth, right? And have compassion for him, have love for him. Don't cut off your heart, and no judgment. It's okay. Like she's a victim. You've learned to be a victim like her. You've lost the victimhood from doing the meditations, but she's being a victim. Don't get sucked into her victimhood. And what I would say is, even with your mom, if every time that you talk to her on WhatsApp, if she's getting into a victimhood, cut it off. Like tell her, like for a couple of weeks, stay away from your mom, so that you build your own presence power, right? Like Francesca went through teacher of presence and built her presence of power.
Yes.
Go ahead, Francesca, you were going to say.
Sorry. Also, what I was going to mention too is that recognize, I think an easier way to experience that empathy and understanding towards him too is recognize that he's essentially emanating the imprints of his dad, which was what was transferred to him, that pain body, that way of showing up. That's how he learned how to express himself. by example. That's how he learned to show up. And so as a result of that, he's so unconscious. He doesn't recognize that he's, when he shows up, and for him, that's normal, right? And because he isn't doing the inner work that you're doing, right? So because he's not doing that, he's unable to recognize that what he's doing is essentially wrong.
And I
Right.
think that was
Yeah.
also, thank you so much. Yes, that's a great insight. But I also, so sorry to interrupt, but I also felt, I think right now I realize, thanks to you talking about it, that I actually not only judged him, but I judged myself right away saying, look at me, I'm so much better than you. I all did this. And then underneath it is that, oh, I didn't do it enough yet because I'm not powerful enough to change you.
Yes, that is beautiful, brilliant realization. Oh my God. Yes, I'm getting goosebumps with that because that happened to me too. There are so
Beautiful.
many beautiful, profound depths to what you're experiencing. Like, in the end, all that came out of it was like, oh my God, my sister became who, like, a version of me would never have said this before, but she became, this family dynamics essentially became the greatest, mirror for my own healing and evolving and all that magic that we do, right? And I remember one of the times when I was judging my sister too. It's in relation to how she was parenting and such. And when I went into my amygdala, that's on the wall, my nervous system, into those depths, thanks to Eckhart, I was able to become present with so deep that I landed in my nervous system too, and in my survival mind. I remember one of the realization that came out of that whole path of my journey was like, oh my God, we were taught to, we have been heavily programmed through this cultivation, to collectively to gaslight awareness, to gaslight parenting, to gaslight like the truth altogether. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I not only am I gaslighting how her parenting in relation to how she's showing up because I'm judging it all the time, because this is how I'm aware it should be now, because that's kind of what I've been practicing. But it's based on, again, the wisdom realization that emerged from my inner work, right? So without the inner work, without that transformation, there is no way somebody else can actually know how to parent, or you know what I mean? So they're parenting based on what was transferred to them, right?
They're
And
programming.
Yeah, they're programming. And so I was like, oh my God. So now when I approach her from this depth of presence and understanding, I can actually talk about, for example, hey, just so you know, when you say this to, the kids, this is how they're experiencing that. So, you're essentially transferring a program that you don't want to transfer to them because you love them so much. And so I do it like in such a way, just naturally happens. And all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, or she just keeps completely silent. And I know she's doing, because my sister, she's intellectual too. So I know she's like doing that inner work part,
Processing.
that processing. Yeah. So yeah, just a little bit of insight, I guess, I'm sure.
Beautiful. So you won't believe it, Francesca. At the beginning of this meeting, I was telling Lakshmi, let me check if Francesca is going to be, did I send her the invite? Is Francesca going to be on this call?
Yes,
And
yes,
it turned
so
out perfect because it provided you, Patricia, with a great conversation. So
sorry,
non-attachment,
I
no
apologize.
worries, no
I
worries.
apologize for being late. I had an
Late
appointment
was
with
perfect.
Charlotte.
Late was perfect because it gave Patricia what she needed. So non-attachment, non-resistance, as
Non-judgment.
Eckhart says, non-judgment. Today's lesson, right? With that, many blessings to everyone. Much love. Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you for choosing your divinity over your humanity. Thank you, everyone. Bye, Sri Lakshmi.
Yeah.
Bye, Patricia. Bye, Francesca.
Bye, Poonam. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.